Most organizations treat communication as a simple mechanical transaction. You write a memo, click send, or issue a verbal directive, and assume the job is done. But an organization relies entirely on this continuous transfer of information for coordination and decision-making, and the transfer process itself is highly fragile. True communication is not the transmission of text or symbols. It is the successful transmission and mutual understanding of intended meaning. When the shape arriving at the destination looks different than the one that left, it represents a strict structural breakdown in the organization's network. Because transmission is imperfect by nature, management cannot rely on good intentions. They have to engineer the environment itself to ensure meaning survives the transfer. To minimize transmission loss, organizations must align their communication tools with the specific complexity of the task. Every communication channel possesses a defined data-carrying capacity. A text message moves a vastly different volume and type of data than a face-to-face meeting. Applying a low-capacity channel to a highly ambiguous problem guarantees misinterpretation and drives systemic corporate friction. Mastering this alignment requires applying a framework known as media richness. It marks the precise difference between an organization that adapts and one that stalls. This diagram outlines the communication process model. It begins with the sender, who forms a message and encodes it into chosen symbols. The message travels across the channel to the receiver, who carries the burden of decoding those symbols back into the original concept. Successful decoding requires both parties to possess similar codebooks, a shared vocabulary, an understanding of industry jargon, and mutual cultural norms. They also require shared mental models regarding the exact context of the communication to prevent immediate misinterpretation. Inevitably, this flow is disrupted by noise, barriers that distort the encoded message mid-transit. To verify the transfer, a feedback loop runs in reverse. The receiver encodes a response and transmits it back to confirm if the intended meaning was actually received. Without perfectly aligned codebooks and mental models, systemic noise guarantees transmission failure, regardless of how clear the sender believed they were. To solve for noise and complex mental models, we evaluate the channels used during the transmission phase through media richness theory. A communication channel is classified as rich based on 4 variables: its ability to convey multiple cues simultaneously, allow for timely feedback, customize the message, and permit complex symbols. This matrix maps the data-carrying capacity of our tools. The x-axis plots the situation, ranging from routine to highly ambiguous. The y-axis plots the media richness, from lean to rich. Effective communication occurs in this precise diagonal zone. Routine, clear situations require lean media to maintain efficiency. Non-routine, ambiguous situations demand rich media to capture nuance. Face-to-face communication occupies the absolute peak of rich media. It transmits a massive volume of nonverbal cues instantly. It also facilitates emotional contagion, the non-conscious mimicry of facial expressions that provides continuous, immediate feedback to the speaker. Aligning channel richness to task ambiguity acts as a hard structural requirement for accurate decoding. Looking at the lean media quadrant, we find email. It is the default tool for corporate coordination and the most frequently misapplied. Email strips away the nonverbal nuance required to navigate novel, complex situations. It communicates human emotion poorly, reducing high-stakes problem-solving to flat text. This leanness strips away social presence, reducing politeness and respect, often resulting in aggressive written exchanges known as flaming. Recognizing this exact structural failure, the European IT company Atos Origin initiated a program to completely replace email with internal internet-based tools. By adopting wikis and corporate social media, they transitioned to channels that enable continuous conversations, present public identities, and encourage active community feedback loops. Lean channels persist for specific reasons. They allow rapid multi-communication, manage varying text proficiency levels, and minimize social distraction. Lean channels execute routine data volume with high efficiency. Deploying them to handle complex problem-solving creates organizational gridlock. When an organization relies too heavily on lean channels to blast infinite digital volume, the result is information overload. This chart graphs information load over time. The dotted horizontal line represents the employee's maximum information processing capacity. During these peaks of information overload, critical data gets overlooked, misinterpreted, or dropped entirely. Organizations deploy two structural solutions. The first increases the employee's processing capacity through targeted training, like speed reading, or by physically removing cognitive distractions from the workspace. The second solution reduces the information load itself. This involves active buffering, omitting redundant data, and ruthlessly summarizing reports before they enter the network. Infinite communication bandwidth becomes a liability if the organization fails to build cognitive buffers for its employees. Management cannot formally engineer every human interaction. Where the formal architecture stops, informal networks fill the void. This is the organizational grapevine. It operates parallel to official channels, bridging disparate departments through chaotic, rapid cluster chain patterns. The grapevine transmits information in all directions instantly. It is driven by the human instinct to bond and the psychological need to relieve workplace anxiety. It serves the organization by filling in missing facts and strengthening corporate culture. Conversely, it regularly distorts facts and actively escalates anxiety if official channels lag behind the rumor mill. A highly active, anxious grapevine serves as a diagnostic symptom. It signals that the formal communication architecture is failing to provide adequate, rich media to the team. High-functioning organizations actively design their communication environments. They do not let them evolve by accident. This design takes physical shape in open office floor plans calibrated for noise and in strategic behaviors like management by walking around to inject face-to-face richness directly into the workflow. Align channel capacity with task complexity. Actively manage cognitive load. Rigorously foster shared mental models. Effective leadership demands engineering the exact structural architecture that allows meaning to survive the transfer.